Step 2 of your head tracking FPV conversion to fly from the cockpit of an RC plane is to buy the 4 major components. You'll need to budget about $900 to $1,000 on top of your existing RC equipment to get the best visuals. The first component to get is DJI Goggles 3, and the second component to get is DJI O3 Air Unit. Air Unit is basically what they call the camera, the video transmitter, and the antenna all together. So these 2 components, the goggles and the air unit, work together for the visual transmission. Once you power them up and bind them, the goggles will display the image coming in from the camera. It's as simple as that. The third component to get is a head tracker, or in this case, it's the Tally-Ho 2 Plus head tracker, which will be physically attached to the goggles to sense your head movement. The fourth component to get is the Motionsic bag or badass gimbal. It's the pen and tail gimbal that actually physically move the camera. So the camera and the gimbal together in the cockpit looks like this. You need 2 smaller components to power the air unit, as well as a fan to cool the air unit. So the fan is something else to get. There's also a 12-volt UBEC, which I use to power the air unit, as well as the fan, and the RC switch to turn power on and off to the air unit. Step 3, let me show you my cockpit setup in detail. Also how I integrated the different parts shown earlier. Here is the camera, and there's the air unit underneath, and the pen and tilt gimbal, or the badass gimbal, which moves the camera. Also, you'll see the reflector sight, the arms reflector sight, which provides the reticle for attitude reference that you see in the video. And we also have the fan here to keep the air unit cool. O3 air unit does heat up quite a bit if you don't have airflow over it. Like within a couple minutes, it will overheat on the ground. So if you don't have a fan, you need to get up in the air. If you install it in a part that's exposed to moving air, but if it's in an enclosed space like this, you will definitely need a fan to blow air on it. I want you to pay attention to the camera position relative to the dash. If you have a scale fighter jet model, you want to refer to a photo with the pilot in the cockpit, and you want to position the camera so that the center of the lens is at the scale pilot eye position. And typically you can draw a line extending from the top of the dashboard to the pilot position and just position the lens slightly above that, and that would be the scale eye position. Often I see people putting this camera too high, and so the top of the instrument panel would not be in view. That is detrimental to precision flying. You want to have a reference against the horizon when you're flying, so that you know exactly what your pitch altitude is. Of course, now that arms reflector sight is available, I definitely recommend adding one of these. That way you could use the reticle against the horizon for precision altitude reference. So let me show you how I install the bag gimbal. It's designed for airplanes with a removable battery hatch like this. And it's kind of hard to show now that it's attached, but the steps are quite simple. Assuming this is the cockpit floor, you'll want to draw a center line like this on the cockpit floor, and then there's an included template. And you draw that template, punch the 4 holes for the screws to go through, and just place the bag gimbal on top of it. And the pen servo would protrude underneath, and basically you sandwich the cockpit floor with the bag gimbal on top, and then either foam or the backing plate, which is also the template, sandwich with the screws. So the foam padding is provided, so you could adjust the height of the gimbal and the camera to the scaled pilot eye position. So that's a quick run through of how to install the back gimbal. It's as simple as that. So now let me show you how I power everything. So these are just servo plugs. So they are powered simply by plugging into the RC receiver. This is for the pan servo, which is moving the camera side to side. The tilt servo, that's moving the camera up and down. This is the power for the reflector side. It's just power and ground, just like powering any other LED lights in the aircraft. Here we have the power lines for, one is for the O3 air unit, which connects to the ribbon cable. Although I'm only using the ground wire and the red power wire. And the other one is for the fan. Both run on 12 volts. So they are connected to an RC switch right here. Yeah. And which on this side plugs into a spare channel on the receiver to switch power on and off. And this is the where the power comes in from the 12 volt UBC. So this connects to inside the aircraft, running a Y splitter from the main ESC to battery lead. So that's pretty much it. The gimbals are just high resolution pan and tilt, like digital Metal Gear servos. So they run on typical PWM signal from receivers. So I have a servo tester here just to show you. So here's the pan. It rotates 280 degrees. So with the field of view of the camera, it'll cover more than 360 degrees to see the vertical tail. Although in this case, it's not a bubble canopy, it's blocked by the seat. And the tilt servo has quite a bit of range too. It goes almost 90 degrees, like 85. That's more than enough to look past the vertical. Okay, no magic to it until you hook up the HeadTracker and you feel like you're sitting inside the cockpit. Step 4, I'll show you how to set up the HeadTracker on an RC transmitter to control the pan and tail gimbal. Okay, first click on the aircraft icon and then go to the trainer screen. Then I'll show you the wired connection first. So plug the included trainer cable into the HeadTracker, and then on the DSC port in the back of the transmitter. There we go. And then turn on the goggles battery. One short press and long press for all DJI products. And as you can see, as soon as the goggles powered on, there's power coming to the HeadTracker. You see the signal from the HeadTracker. So on my personal one, I have it set up on channel 2 for tilt and channel 1 for pan. We also have roll on channel 3. Some of you may know that I already set up my gimbal to have the third axis or the roll axis, so I'm using all three of those. But the HeadTracker actually comes by default having pan and tilt on channels 7 and 8. But you could easily change that on the HeadTracker firmware on your PC. So this is just to show you, how easy it is to get HeadTracker signal on the FrSky transmitter. It's just properly scrolling to the trainer screen and you see it. Okay, and then how to utilize that trainer signal is you would come to the mixer screen. Yes, and I have it set up. Let's see. Let me zoom in here. pan for 7 and tilt for 8. Let's take a look. Edit. So the thing you need to notice is source right here. It says trainer 1. So long as you have that as a trainer channel, you can select whichever one. For yours, it'll be on trainer 7 or trainer 8. But I'm going to just leave mine on trainer 1. But basically on the mixer screen, so long as you have the source correct, then you are utilizing the HeadTracker signal. The other thing you have to notice is the active condition. So the HeadTracker signal is sending to the transmitter all the time once it's powered on. But we have this active condition here, switch D, right? And so what that means, whenever I switch this on, then you would see it move, right? And you want to set up a switch. This is, I guess you could call it the trainer switch, and then you could deactivate it. So whenever you deactivate that, the gimbal returns to center when there's no signal. So you definitely want to have an active condition switch there, because you want to start off with no signal and the gimbal starts at center. Or whenever you have trouble, say your HeadTracker is drifting, you want to deactivate the HeadTracker or the gimbal so it neutralizes. Okay, so you would do that for your pan channel and again for your tilt channel. It's exactly the same thing, right? Same active condition, same trainer switch. And yeah, just the source is the next channel, all right? It's as simple as that. Oh, and then how do you check to see if you also need to assign the output. So this is the actual channel where you are going to plug the gimbal into in your receiver. So you want to get that consistent with the number on the channel slot on your receiver. Okay? And then you could go to outputs, which is actually the signal coming out from the receiver to check if it's already doing anything. So, it's not doing anything because I don't have the trainer switch on. Once you have it on, you can see that the HeadTracker does send the output to the receiver channels. So it's as simple as that. Once you do see the signals on the output monitor screen, then you could plug into the plug the gimbal servos into the receiver and it will move accordingly. It is as simple as that. Next, I'm going to show you how to connect the HeadTracker wirelessly. So let me turn this off again. The HeadTracker powering off. I like to make the trainer connections when the or disconnect when the power is off, just to be safe. And then let's switch this to Bluetooth. And then now I can power the goggles on again to power on the HeadTracker. Here we are. Oh, and since it's previously connected using Bluetooth, so it's just instantly reconnects. So once again, there's no physical wire connection, but you can see the HeadTracker signal right away. Now, for first time making a Bluetooth connection to get wireless HeadTracker, again, you want to select Bluetooth here, but then make sure your HeadTracker is already turned on or your goggles turned on, and then do search devices. And this is the Bluetooth address that I recognize, D399. Yours is going to be different. So once you click on it, it says device connected, and there it is. HeadTracker is connected. It's as simple as that. Now you could get the Bluetooth address for the HeadTracker from the software that you could download according to the instructions on the HeadTracker. Step 5, I'll show you how to change the HeadTracker settings using the HeadTracker app version 2.1, as well as getting the Bluetooth address so you could search for it on your FrSky radio. First of all, let's start by plugging in the USB cable, or USB micro, into the HeadTracker. And you will hear a device connected tone. Then you want to open the HeadTracker app actually by clicking on the HeadTracker application execution there. I already have it open. So next thing is hit the refresh button and connect. Okay, once it's connected, you can see the signals from the HeadTracker sending. And then when I move the HeadTracker, you can see the pan, which is the yellow, and tilt moving. Okay, now you want to quickly check, and then also center button, which centers all the lines. Okay, you want to check to see if your HeadTracker is drifting or not. Move it to an angle and hold it there. If it's steady, then that means it's not drifting. And if it is, your HeadTracker needs recalibration, which you could do following the instructions here. Okay, now the channels that arrive on default would be 8 for tilt and 7 for pan. But you could change this to any number from 1 to 8, depending on your preference. So I personally do mine on 1 and 2. 1 for pan, 2 for tilt. Since this is a serial output, it on 1 and 2 it's the least latency. Okay, we could do that and hit settings. Also, I want to show you that you could turn your Bluetooth on. This normally comes as disabled, but if you want to turn your Bluetooth on, just turn it to FrSky wireless transmitter head on, and Bluetooth mode change requires to root, and say yes. Okay, and you want to note this Bluetooth address here. This is what you'll be searching for if you're using the FrSky HeadTracker. You want to search for this Bluetooth address, so the HeadTracker can be linked with the FrSky transmitter. And that's pretty much it. I hope these 4 steps give you a detailed understanding of how to set up HeadTracking FPV to fly from the cockpit of an RC plane. You can easily follow along and set up an entire system, especially if you use the same transmitter. Even if you don't, you would have a good framework to use the trainer function of another radio to set up HeadTracking FPV. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments. I'll answer them in a timely manner. Thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more tutorial videos like this one.